Good morning guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now today's video is going to be a little bit off because I didn't record at the track day because I forgot our GoPros back at home, and I was just focusing on getting VA to go down the track and Josh's car to go down the track as well. Now that being said, we were kind of going back and forth and recording there, and we were using JR's GoPro and Alex's GoPro. So you guys will probably tell, and I'm going to link his video over here, that we were kind of going back and forth and saying some things twice or more than twice, and that's why. But I'm going to link his video right now, right over here for you guys. You guys can watch that track day. I was going to make my own video of it, but you know, we have such spotty differences with videos. I just decided not to. So I'm just going to link his video over there. You guys want to go ahead and watch, you can definitely go ahead and watch our track day with VA. We did take her out again, and something to touch base on from that video was I did say I did tune the car. So that's obviously going to be the elephant in the room. Obviously a lot of you guys have been following this car and know it was previously JR tuned, and nothing against JR at all. We've worked together for many years now, but the time has come, obviously with me doing tuning now, it just makes more sense for me to take over, and that means take over on the race car as well. So me and Junior have already talked about it. Like I said, there's no bad blood there. There's nothing wrong. It was just my choice to part ways and take over my own car and further learn. And that's kind of what he had been pushing me to do anyways with the Motec. That's when we went Motec on this car, you know, was I could help myself a bit more at the track than he can, obviously being all the way across the country. So I did take over tuning this car. I'm no longer with JR Tuned or any of the East Coast guys there. I went ahead and parted ways from being on their team with them. So it is just me and I, and you know, obviously the wife and you guys as well. But I did retune this thing. We were lucky enough to rent out Isaac Fish's dyno with Fishead Performance. I'll link him down below. Me and him have been friends for many years now, and like I said, I was very fortunate to be able to rent his dyno. He has reached out to me in the past letting me know that we could rent his dyno out. So big thank you to Isaac. Tuning something like this on the street just isn't safe, guys. This type of power level. We had several issues keeping the car from spinning on the dyno even, let alone, you know, obviously having the same street tune. So definitely a big thank you to him for letting me use his dyno for 2 days. And it did take me some time to get this thing tuned. Obviously I'm completely brand new to Motec. I have a lot to learn. By no means am I a professional in any way with it, but we did make some great power with the car. For now, I'm just going to leave the number out of there because I'll just let the car do the talking at the track, let our trap speed do the talking. It did make close to the same power it has made already. I will go ahead and insert a clip right here. Of it on the dyno. I only have a couple clips because I just wasn't going to record and put it out there. I actually was going to just take our race car program and take it off of the channel, some of the drama that's been going on. And you know what, I think that's not fair to you guys. You guys obviously like watching it and seeing our progress and seeing the struggles that we are very transparent and do show, and I know that's what sets us apart. One of those dramas being, unfortunately, IAG and me have been going back and forth online. Some of you may see it, some of you may not. And you know what, that does inflict some of my decision to part ways. Now when I do say some drama came up, most of it came from this car back here, and a lot of you guys might recognize this car as the one we diagnosed the motor on. And unfortunately, when we had all that drama, IAG took the video the wrong way. When we were diagnosing this car behind me here for Marco, it was literally just diagnosing the car for you guys. It was diagnosing it for him to see what happened, what was going on. You know, we went right into it just thinking maybe a jump timing, that it wasn't worst case scenario, and it ended up being obviously that worst case scenario later on. And at the end of the video, you guys will have heard me say, way to go Marco, you ended up taking out your whole long block. So it was nothing against them or an attack at them like they thought it was, and I never intended it to be that way, but that's kind of how they took it. And that's kind of where all this drama started up, and I've tried to clear it out, but you know, unfortunately they didn't see that side of it. So I have my own ways of doing my own engines, they have their own ways, their engines. I don't really care, you know, going through and finding something that would be a failure. That doesn't matter to me. What they do with their motor program is none of my business or care. I have my own. So just to touch base on that, guys, for you what I mean onto that trauma. And that is what it is. You know, we use Outfront cases here, and I've used Outfront for the last 8 years, and I'm not changing it because we've been loyal to them. We don't have any issues. Obviously, we build our own motors. This is our race program, our motor program here. We just use Outfront cases. Jeremy with Outfront has been awesome to me, so there's no reason to go away from that, you know. So if they can't understand that, then oh well, you know, that is what it is. This car is by no means sponsored by IAG in any way, so there's nothing that, you know, we're losing or taking away from the car at that point. Nothing has been sponsored by IAG on this car. This car is just me. So we went ahead, like I said, I just wanted to address that in as respectful a manner as I could to Junior, because there is no bad blood there. But this car is now tuned by me, and you guys will see that in the video about me talking about it. Now, I didn't mean to say it that many times in the video, but like I said, we were recording on several different devices. So I wasn't sure, you know, what we were using for Junior's channel and what we were using for mine at the time. So if you do hear it multiple times, I'm sorry, guys. It wasn't me just trying to rub it in or anything. It was just me trying to give the information to you guys of what's going on with the car. So now if you watch over that video, you'll see on there, we're having an issue with a pedal sync issue. Now I went ahead and I did take care of that already. Very straightforward, very simple to do. I did sync the pedal back up, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we won't have any more issues with it. But if we do, then I'll have to dive more into that. Now, also, if you don't want to watch the other video, or you have, let's touch base on what happened to the car. So we made 3 passes, everything went great. We were mainly focusing on getting the car to leave. We wanted that 60-foot time. The best 60-foot we've cut with the car so far is a 1.7 60-foot, and obviously we know that's not very good. That's just because the car hasn't had enough power to get itself out of the hole. So we've been working on launch control, along with several other issues with a car at this caliber and getting it to work. The blue car over there, it's always cut 1.4 60 foots. So obviously we know there's some room for growth, a huge room for growth. 1.7 60 foot is not great at all. Best time of this car has been 9.6 at 161. For those of you just tuning in, best time for that car right there, that does hold the US VA, which is 15 plus chassis record, at 8.96 at 161. We definitely want to see that in this car and beat that car over here. So this car's goal, yes, we've had a 7-second goal for this car since we built it. By no means am I saying this is a 7-second car or a capable car right this moment. We have a lot to go through, a lot of bugs to work out, a lot of things to work through, and we proved that this year. You know, this car's been to TX2K and it was not ready. It did not work, and we haven't got it to work since then, and we've been to several track days working through the issues of a new car and new chassis. So with that being said, we broke the transmission on the last track day that you'll see over in Junior, or JR's, I'm sorry, don't get them mixed up. JR's My WX channel video of this car. What happened? Well, guys, the same thing that happened before, and that was I 1-2-1 shipped the car, and a lot of guys know that as money shifting, or, you know, 121, things like that. So that's the second time I've done it on this car and this motor in the car. It's lived. It lived again somehow. I don't know how the motor lived through it again. We were working on launches. Everything was going good that day. And then everybody shut the cameras off because they figured I was just going to shut the car down after the launch, because that's one of my biggest, I don't know about pet peeves, but things with all my guys that are out racing is I tell them just shut down if the pass doesn't make sense. Well, I went ahead and got back into it on the last pass with the car because I haven't gone into it at all since it came off the dyno. So I just wanted to make sure everything looked good, everything worked. Car came back into power awesome in second gear. I revved it all the way out. I went to go to third. I went into first. I definitely wasn't even expecting it, so I didn't catch it that great. As the first time I was kind of leery and I caught it. You know, obviously not perfectly, but I did catch it better than I did here. And with that being said, the transmission got very hurt in the car. I think it's front differential. That is what exploded in the transmission. So we won't know until we get it apart. And that's kind of what this video is today. I'm sorry we're starting the video off with a bunch of talking. but a lot of things to get out since we've been kind of taking a break from YouTube and things have been going on in the background. So with that being said, this transmission in this car is a PPG fully optioned V1 dog box. So obviously that sucks. I don't think that it is something that happened with the gear set that is the problem. I do think it is a front differential, which is stock. Obviously going second gear to first gear at that high RPM, and the inertia of doing that, I believe, exploded the front diff. So what we're going to be doing today, and as you guys can tell by the title of the video, this car has a stock STI transmission in the car. That is the one that we took out of our Series Gray STI, which is over here, because when we originally bought this car, it was a bare shell. So this transmission is what we used out of this car to put into here and build into a dog box originally. So that's what had left this car in the background. That some of you guys who've been following the channel all this time have seen this car always sitting in the background ever since we went and raced it. That is why, is because we had took a lot of the parts from this car to make this car a complete car. And I said I would come back to this one. So then we wanted to race it, and that's why we took everything from the gray car. And some of you were like, why the heck did you do that? That's just because, well, we wanted to go racing, and we've already raced gray car last season. We didn't get to race this one much, so we put everything in here. Then you guys kind of saw it's been sitting here, and I don't know how well it's picking up, that it's pretty dusty. And I'm trying to open the freaking hood for you guys here. Everything's in my way. You guys haven't seen really anything of it since it went racing, and you can tell it's really dusty and there's no turbo. So why the heck is there no turbo? Well, that's because I'm too nice of a friend, and Alex, that you guys have seen on the channel, specifically in the race days, needed a turbo, and I let him borrow the turbo off of mine in the meantime until his came in, because he had a 2-month back order on the housing of his new 6870. So I didn't show you guys that because that's also been in time of us actually getting work done. So his car is going to be the blue one out there, and he has our 6870 out. So that's why you haven't seen anything from this thing. That's why it's just been sitting here, just because he's had a turbo in the background. So obviously it's freaking dusty as can be, like always. Nothing new with this thing. And since it's sitting here, I really want to focus on this car. We want to keep pushing. We want to make this car work. It's freaking hot out now. We have this heat wave that's been going through, so it's been 100-degree days almost every day and high 90s. It's like 95 out right now, so it's freaking warm, guys. So it's really hard to go racing when it's like that. Obviously on these cars it's hard on them, but we definitely want to keep going and keep working out the kinks on this car. So I think what we're finally going to do is put the stock transmission in the car, and unfortunately we're going to have to go out into Mexico because we don't have a local track, guys. We're driving every time to take this car out, and obviously that gets expensive over time. You know, we're driving to Portland, Seattle. Renegade is over in Yakima. We are in Spokane, Washington. So to give you an idea, Portland is 6 hours to where we just raced, 7 hours if we go to Woodburn, and that's just there. That's not both ways. And then Seattle's about 4.5, 5 hours. Renegade over in Yakima is about 3 hours. So those trips, you know, they range anywhere from $400 to $1,000 each time we do a trip. So it definitely is expensive, especially when the car is not working and when we break the car. So unfortunately that means I'm gonna put the stock tranny in the car, and we're gonna have to go out into Mexico and try to get this thing to work, because the next time it goes out, I would like to see it make a pass, and I'd like to feel more comfortable knowing it's gonna make pass. So even if that means we need to go out into Mexico and make a hit or two, that's what we're gonna do. So today, like I said, we're gonna get the transmission out of both cars. And like I said, it's freaking hot out. So I think what's gonna happen here is I'm trying to decide. I'm either gonna push that thing outside and work on it out in the driveway, and then have this one in here and put our AC back in our window. So that way when I come back and work on this thing, it's nice AC land. Or do we try to just work on both of them in here? Because I mean, there is room. We just obviously clean up our little bit of a mess here. I haven't had a chance really to clean up after we painted all our walls in here. So let me decide and we'll figure that out. Of course, I freaking talked your guys' ear off here, so I'm sorry. But now you guys know all the information and laid it all out there and everything going on. So let's figure this out. Finally get some work in on here for you guys, and let's try to make some progress, guys. Let's try to get this freaking car to work, because right now it just doesn't work, and we need this thing to work. Well, it is definitely brighter in here with these white walls. Now that we got all set up, got our nice AC unit back in here, and we are getting this place cooled off because it is freaking 2 million degrees in here. And then we'll start getting to work on these 2 cars. This one is not going to be fun, guys. I mean, I haven't tried pulling the transmission out of this car yet, but I don't think it's going to be that much fun. So we'll see how bad it is. I mean, granted, there isn't really anything back there. This one, obviously, the nice part is we already have a turbo off of it, but that also not so nice part is we have to deal with the downpipe, obviously. This doesn't have a cap back on it, so that will make that job a lot easier. And yeah, then we'll have to just get these 2 up in the air and switch them. A lot of you guys have seen me do this on the channel before. Since I did talk your guys' ear off in the beginning, I'm probably gonna get a nice jump start on this and not prolong this video out too long for you guys. But let's get that thing up in the air and finally start getting to work. So obviously, first thing first, we need to get the car up in the air, which we did now. So we got it all the way up in the air, and from here, disconnect your battery. Always, guys, just start there. We're going to disconnect the battery because we are going to be unhooking our starter, which obviously has a power lead to it, and obviously you don't want to arc that off on things. So I'm just going to do a quick DIY on this because I already know this video is going to be drawn out. So obviously we don't have a turbo on here, so we're going to remove our downpipe. That's the same for anything that's stock location wise, and we just need to remove our downpipe. We don't have an exhaust under here, so we'll start with that. We'll get our downpipe removed, and I will have to remove a dump tube since obviously we have this turbo kit on here. But other than that, it's going to be really straightforward, guys, to do any kind of clutch or transmission work. It's just the hardest part is getting the transmission back up. Obviously, when we're not on a lift and we're like this, you guys have seen me do that in the past for those of you that have been watching. But to start out, downpipe, battery obviously unhooked. We'll start unhooking all our connections on the transmission. There's gonna be 1 ground right over here, 1 electrical connector there, and then we have a pitch mount, and we have our starter to take out. Then we can move to the bottom of the car, and I will show you guys that. So let me get this thing taken care of up here, and then I'll jump to the bottom of the car and show you guys. So here we are about 20 minutes later, and I wanted to get pretty far on this so I could show you guys instead of doing time lapse, because like I said, we've drawn this video already. So first things, like I told you, we need to get our downpipe out of the way. I went ahead and got that out of the way there, as you can see. The wiring connections up here, the one I speak of is right on the top of the transmission here. You'll see that you have a connector. It goes, if I can get this, it goes right where my fingers are, right here. We'll have 1 ground that bolts up here. That one is obviously still there, so I need to disconnect that. And then moving over to this side, obviously we have a starter. So we got to get our starter out. We got to get our pin out that goes into our transmission there and holds our throw bearing assembly. Then you pull up on your fork here for your clutch and make sure it's loose and out of the throw bearing so that way we don't damage our throw bearing when we pull this transmission out. So that is all done. Everything's done up top, and this thing, like I said, is pretty much ready to pull. Didn't even have to pull the wheels off, and I'm going to show you guys how and why we didn't even have to pull the wheels off to get this thing out. So let's see how good these GoPros do in getting underneath the car here. And as we're taking a look, what we got here. So we're on the bottom side of the car. Here's your transmission, obviously, and this is the passenger side of the car. So you can see our axle is still here. I just undo our ball joint, which I'm letting this thing adjust, our ball joint from our hub. And then as you can see, I have a bar here that goes to the frame on here, holds the wheel out, holds it enough that I can get the axle out. It can stay there right on top of that control arm. I don't even have to worry about it. Coming over to the driver's side, same deal, sitting right on the control arm, another bar holding the wheel out, so you only have to pull them off. Drive shaft is off of the car already. Last thing that we have to do now is just get our brace right here. This is our transmission mount, brace, whatever you want to call it. This is the last piece holding the tranny in. Now, do not just unbolt this thing without having a jack under here, or you're probably gonna die. So, ask me how I know. We got this thing on here. We have 1 bolt on each side there. We have our 2 transmission mount bolts, and we have 2 there and 2 there. So we'll get those off. I'm gonna go ahead and put the jack right here on the transmission, right on that little pan, and from there, then I'll start getting these unbolted under here. and then we'll pull this transmission back and down. So obviously once we get this off, we do have our shift linkage that's left. That is very straightforward, pretty simple. I will try to go ahead and show you guys what I mean once I get this thing out of our way and off, and then we'll get the stock transmission out of here and we'll get it ready to go into old girl over here. So just a moment, we'll see how we get that shift linkage off and we'll continue. So here's that shift linkage I was talking about. You have one 14mm bolt here that you loosen, you don't pull it all the way out, and then you can slide this out of the mount right there. And then you have your reverse lockout right here that's right in front of it. That just slides off after you get the little clip off. Then up top, which is going to be really hard to show, but there's another shift linkage up on the very top of this that has a bolt and a nut through it, so you can see where my finger is up there, hopefully. And that one is a 14mm wrench on the top, 12mm nut on the bottom. It doesn't feel like it's a bolt head on the top, but it does have a groove for a wrench, guys. So just so you know if you're pulling that out. But this thing is now 100% ready to come out. You can see our fuel lines here. This is our aftermarket fuel lines for this car hanging down here. Those do make this job a bit harder because they are a bit in the way here, but we'll get them figured out and get this thing dropped out of here. And there we have it, our stock STI transmission, about to go into my 1100 wheel horsepower STI. Let's see what happens. So now we got this thing out of here. Obviously we were just doing a reverse of what we just did. I am going to put this thing back together and roll it out, so that way I have more room to work on this thing in here. But I'm probably just going to jump ahead. I'm going to pull this thing apart, get the transmission into this thing, because obviously we just did it on here and I just showed you guys. I'm just going to get this thing thrown in here, and then we'll do first startup, first drive, and see how long old girl over here can stay together. Hopefully this thing will stay together in the meantime of while we rebuild the dog box in here. Now a lot of you will be asking, why the heck wouldn't you just rebuild the dog box that's in the car versus pulling out your other transmission and possibly breaking it? Well, simple answer, it's race season and I want to race. So I'll fix this one in the background, and if I break that one, so be it. We'll fix that one too. Not the end of the world. So let's get this thing up in the air, get that thing out of my way, get to work, and next time you see this thing, should be doing first startup. As you can see, we have VA up in the air. There's the stock transmission getting ready to go into this thing, and you guys had to know I wasn't going to take away from you. We're going to see what comes out of this transmission, because it sounded terrible when I broke it. So this is, I haven't taken anything out, I've just loosened the plug, so I have no clue what the heck's going to come out of here. We have two plugs on your transmission. There's going to be one on this little bottom part here, and then there's going to be one on the front diff. I think we have some issues with our front diff, so I'm going to start with that one first. So let me grab that tool right here, and we're going to be using today our Torque Solution T70 socket here. You guys can get this on the Torque Solutions website. Awesome tool. Thank you, Dan. He sent these over, and they have been working great and treating us great. So they are linked down in the description, guys, if you want to pick up some of these tools, especially for that cocktail you guys have all been interested in. So let's see if I can get this off here without making a huge mess. Let's see. I know I keep moving stuff around. I don't got very much room here. I feel like this is going to be a mess, especially since it looks like it's going to hit the subframe. Man, I hope it doesn't do that. I don't have anywhere to sit this camera though. So I'm holding the camera and I'm unscrewing this. And guys, please don't be a huge mess. Alright, here we go. Ooh, yep, we have some broken pieces on our drain plug there. I'm not sure how well it's going to pick that up right now. This is mold tool competition fluid in here right now. So I am going to let this thing drain out. Hopefully, if this is a front diff issue, I can still get these front axles out, because sometimes that's been an issue where you are unable to get them out if it broke too badly. So let me see, I'm going to pull this plug out of here, show you guys what kind of broken stuff we got. Oh boy. Yeah, that's pretty done broke, guys. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say we broke the front differential on the car. I mean, I would probably take that more than I would take the gear set being broken, but who knows, this stuff going through the transmission at that speed, I mean, who knows, it could have hurt the gear set in the car anyway. So I will let this thing drain and I'll update you guys if I find anything else. And there she is, boys. She's all back together. I know obviously it's not going to look any different, but we know it has a much less strong transmission in it. It has stock transmission in it. And then we have old broken ass trans here. So I started taking it apart, but I don't have the bits, the torque bits there to get those out. For some reason I must have went ahead and tossed them, or they grew legs and ran away. So this thing is back together. Stock transmission is in here. So let's do a cold start for the boys, why don't we? I guess it probably helps, like always. You guys know I always forget to turn the damn power on. So power is on. Cold start for the boys out here. Let's fire this thing up and take a moment to get fuel pressure, like always. But once she gets fuel pressure, she'll fire right up. Complete cold start, guys. Oh boy, come on. So I recently updated my cluster. Thank you to Kozmic Motorsports. We are working on some custom features on here, and apparently I need to recalibrate my oil pressure limit on here because it's having a heart attack right now. But I got the wonderful wife in here with me. Hi. Hi. We're gonna go just take this thing around the block, make sure our good old stock trans works, which I'm sure it does. I'll let her take over the recording. It's a lot quieter than the other trans. The car's not quieter. What do you think?
It's the same.
No, it's not as noisy now.
Yeah, it's the same.
But it's the same. I'm just happy it goes in there here. So, it'll be right. Can't go too far of this thing. Jeez, can't even drive the damn thing. Not very street legal. Not advanced. It drives great once you get going. I got no sun visor. Yeah. I'm blinded. But it freaking drives again. So it drives again, and we got the gas pedal recalibrated. So we are ready for a Mexico trip here in the near future. Make sure this thing works before we go to the track. Hopefully we don't break this poor stock transmission on the street before we go to the track. I'd probably be pretty mad if that was the case, because that would suck. Two broken trannies. We all know that's what's gonna happen now. What do you think? Is this gonna be the stock trans that goes to the moon?
Good luck.
Maybe she'll give us that 7-second pass.
Good luck.
Yeah, no. Well, runs and drives again. Now my old girl over here, Blue, don't drive again. What's new? You know, if you have the parts, why not use them? So I don't know the parts, so I'm gonna use them. We're gonna keep on racing. We got things to do. Records to break again of our own record. Go faster. and who knows if this trans is going to do it or not. Hopefully with this trans, while the other one's getting rebuilt, we can just get the car to work. That's mainly what we want to do. If the car goes fast on this, I'll be blown away. I mean, we've gone fast with a stock tranny before. This is a 2019 STI trans. They're pretty known to be not the most wanted, is the kind word of putting it. This transmission has been hurt. It has a hurt 4th gear synchro. So we'll see how she does. She gave us our 9.6 in that car at 144. These have a shorter 3rd gear even too. Will it help us? Will it hurt us? It's probably gonna hurt our 8th mile time, but at least now it works.
Yay.
How comfortable is your seat?
Pretty comfortable. At least I got a backrest.
A headrest?
I have a headrest too.
Nice. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap up. We are gonna clean up the garage, get the cars put in. That is probably gonna end out the video here for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed some progress at least, and probably a lengthy video anyways. So we're ending it with a running car, driving car. Next video, hopefully we'll be going to Mexico. I'll bring you guys along for that. I'm not gonna hide that. We're gonna go out. Hopefully this thing works. Hopefully my gas pedal works. And hopefully I don't break the trans on the street. That would suck. At least break it on the track doing something. Probably would suck too. So, see you guys in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.
Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane. Pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground, pedal to the ground. Living life up in the fast lane. Life, though you lemons, you just put them in Coronas. Coronas, Coronas. I've been working, I need that advance with the bonus. The bonus, the bonus. Ain't no thoughts about tomorrow, I'm just living in the moment. The moment, the moment. Full tank of gas and 200 on the dash. Bitch, I'm zoning, I'm zoning, I'm zoning. Fast lane. Living life up in the fast lane. Hey. Living life up in the fast lane. And I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down, I ain't slowing down. Living life up in the fast lane.